Ready for the ride? Vroom vroom. This is Boom Radio.
Good day, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It is the Boom Bar right here on your Boom Radio NG. And my name, Oladeluko. You know, the one and only. You know, how many of Oladelukos do you know? We get it. You know, we'll just take it like that. We'll take it like that. Anyway, it is a very interesting day today. Okay, I thought you were fixing. Okay, so it is a very interesting day today at the bar. We're going to be talking about a lot of things. The United Nations General Assembly is still ongoing. There are a few things that, you know, has happened here and there. And, you know, you really hope that a lot of things, there's a lot of things that are happening at the moment. There are updates from investigations going around with the death of Mohbad. Sadly, there is a conversation that we're not talking about a lot, and it is also what is going on in Ogun State. We would also get to that. There are a lot of other news popping up from here and there, so we hope to get all that today on the bar.
Yes, and it's always a pleasure to be here. My name is Sola Rogers.
Okay, and so let's get right into it. The 78th United Nations General Assembly is ongoing, and there's been a lot of talks about what is happening. We've seen a lot of things from different countries, different people actually. The news, even from sports people, from entertainment. There are a lot of things that happen at these things, and we spoke about it yesterday. I think it was more from the side of tech that we saw, and I'm still talking about that. So today now, we know that there was a meeting with that the President Tinubu himself had with the South African president, talking about bridging the gap and having stronger ties with South Africa, and I think that before we even say we have we bridge gaps and we have close ties, economic, tourism, whatever, within other countries of the world, I think that Africa needs to look inward first.
It's very important that Africa looks inwards. It's almost as if, she's been sleeping and she's still sleeping. Africa is. You are arguably, when it comes to resources, the richest, almost a planet now, the richest continent in the world. And you are still begging for aid and all of that. Yes, I totally agree that Africa needs to look inwards. But the way the world has been structured has held us back. But we can't make those excuses anymore. It's time for Africa to unite, and it's not to the detriment of anybody's continent or country. It's just basically towards making things, better for the citizens of this continent. So, bilateral agreements, tripartite, multilateral agreements, whatever form of agreement, must be signed and duly followed up this time.
Yeah.
And one of the things I'm happy about is the meeting with the South African president. That's Nigeria's meeting with the South African president. And, there's a commission that they've decided to upgrade now to the president's level. It was at the vice president's level before, so now it's going to be Ramaphosa and Tinubu, which would most likely expedite action on the things that we need to get done as a nation. Nigeria and South Africa have a rich history. It's recent history that sounds funny at times when you look at the negative lifestyle of some Nigerians in South Africa and the xenophobia of some South Africans. You get it. Those are recent things that do not really reflect how well we go back as brothers and sisters. Nigeria used to be a member of the frontline states. And the frontline states were the countries that were fighting for South Africa's independence. And you wonder how a country in West Africa is a member, top and strong member of the frontline states. This history needs to be taught to children in South Africa and in Nigeria to let them understand how far back we've come. So on the, on this agreement and this meeting that they've had, it's all positives also. I know there are other things that we were planning together. There was supposed to be some kind of power plant, and all of that. I hope Nigeria will get to expedite action on those things at South Africa too. But, these are the advantages of going to the United Nations General Assembly. It's just beyond the General Assembly itself. It's usually the, meetings that happen on the side.
The sidelines of those things, yes. I totally agree. Like you had said, you made a very, very interesting comment that it is not just about just signing these deals. It really is about following them up. So we definitely will see any other update coming from the UNGA.
Well, a couple of people are there in America, and it looks like this meeting might be a different one. There's this new awareness and there's this buzz, Like, for instance, you will see that the former CBN governor and former Southern, I don't know how someone is a former, but he's there. And again, the minister for, I think it's humanitarian affairs and poverty alleviation, she's also there. She's also already had some high-powered, meetings that hopefully will pay off eventually. Like you mentioned the Bosun Tijani's meeting
yesterday.
And outlining Nigeria's tech plan for the future. So all of these things will culminate eventually in some form of progress for Nigeria as a nation. So I am just basically excited. On the sidelines of it is what I am more, concerned about, and we'll be looking at it. We'll be looking at how this will go. I know that President Tinubu was also telling President Ramaphosa about, reactivating some old arrangements, that they used to have, that which would most likely, bring some form of cohesion and development.
Yeah, really, I think it makes sense at this point. Anyway, let's move on from that quickly, as there's still updates on what would say the tragic death of Mr. Mohbad, the 27-year-old young promising singer that his life has been cut short. Now, the one major update that has happened between yesterday and today is that the governor of Lagos State, in fact, there's statements from two governors talking about his death. The governor of Lagos State, knowing that he was a resident of Lagos State, the governor has talked about how there's been a lot that's been going behind the scenes, and that to expedite action on it, that he has asked the DSS, that Department of State Services, to join in the investigation that is supposed to find out the cause of his death.
Yeah. And what's instructive for me is the angle of bringing in the DSS. You know, I like the fact that police have set up a committee, and the police has already promised that they're putting some crack detectives on it. We're talking about people who are really top-notch experts, you know, in investigation. It's going to be thorough, and they're definitely going to take a lot of information from what is available. Now, this is where it gets interesting. We know how a lot of people have been claiming to know so much.
Yeah.
You get. And even if they know a little, I see some with some exaggeration.
Yeah, I hear a lot of embellished stories.
Again, I'm going to repeat that Mohbad's death, you know, the investigations might not throw up the kind of reactions
or the kind
or
of
the
results
that
people are
expecting.
Yes, I think I agree
what I
with
feel
you.
from, you know, the feelers I'm getting.
Yes,
However, it is like a watershed. It is like a turning point, you know, in Nigeria's entertainment industry. I don't know how long it will last. I don't know how impactful it will be. But the revelations that you're getting, especially about the goings-ons in the record label that he was signed to, you know, is like opening a can of canker worms.
Yeah.
However, not everything you hear is true, but some of the things you hear that are true are so gory and distasteful.
Yes, you know, for me, like you had said, one thing is that it might not really be exactly what people are expecting. Also, what people think it is, yeah, as much as some of those stories might be true, might not really be the cause of death. People need to also understand that, yes, he might have suffered in the hands of some people, yeah, but really and truly, he really might not, and it might not be the cause of death. I think people need to keep an open mind with that right now. Once there is an investigation going on, also like you had talked about, people saying all sorts of things. I think that at this point, especially now that there's the police and now the DSS involved in it, people need to be cautious on the kind of things that they say. The truth is that if you cannot substantiate things that you say with evidence, that it goes two ways. Is either it's thrown out or you can even be sued if you do not have evidence substantiate a lot of things, because there's been a lot of allegations being thrown around. People need to be careful. As much as emotions are high, there are a lot of protests going on. I know there's a protest in Ogun State. There's supposed to be a planned one in Ekiti State. There is one that I think is going on or might go on later in the week in Lagos State. I'm sorry, I don't see why we're protesting. My personal opinion.
Yeah, of course you're entitled to
I don't see the point of the protest.
So,
because at the end of the day, call it peaceful protest or not, we have, I maybe you say it's a morbid fear of protest. We've seen how people have always caused this thing to have used this kind of things to cause unrest.
Yeah, they can hijack it.
It can be hijacked.
Possible.
One. Two, as much as, take for example, I saw a Nigerian actress go on social media going on and on how she's disappointed in somebody and how she's calling for a protest, peaceful protest. Please, is this protest going to bring this person back?
Okay,
is this protest going to aid the investigation that is going on?
Let's not always say if something will bring someone back. At times, it's insensitive to say those things.
I get it.
Because we all know that the person is gone.
Yeah, but will this protest also aid the investigation?
The way people seek justice differs. You get the way people process.
People's emotions are high. I don't think a protest
and everybody's threshold is different. You get our thresholds vary. You understand?
I get it.
I
But you know that, especially when emotions are high at this point.
Okay, so
Anything could happen at this
still
protest.
does not say that people cannot peacefully express their concerns about events in their country. Peacefully express, and I've been monitoring Abeokuta. The turnout in Abeokuta has increased, more or less tripled from the last time we got in touch with someone there. There's a protest going on in Delta State, Ugeli to be precise. I think Asabatu might have joined, I'm not sure. I know that Akure is on stream and the protest is massive there too. Numbers are increasing. And in Lagos, in Ikorodu, where he is from, they see him as an Ikorodu boy. That's where he grew up, spent the bulk of his life. They already started some form of peaceful protest. A lot of young people are out there on the street marching in their blacks, mourning. Because again, apart from protesting, they're also mourning the passing of Mohbad. Where it gets dicey is where they allow these things to be hijacked. Even the better planned protests have been hijacked. Now in Akure, I saw the strong presence of the police who were there to keep the peace. They did not interact or interfere with what the kids, the young people were doing. And what were some of them doing? They're singing his songs and dancing to his songs and, chanting some protest slogans and words and carrying placards and everything. And this is the situation in some parts of Nigeria. I don't have a problem with that. I think people should be allowed to, do this kind of things within the confines of the law and refuse to allow themselves to be used. I know how when NSA started, it was well organized until it was hijacked. And I know how they actually refused some politicians from joining them. They did. And, eventually, they still got hijacked. They still got hijacked. So those are my fears. Not that they shouldn't, but they should not allow it to get hijacked. As I say, there's no leader. There has to be a leader. There has to be people responsible for the planning. And again, like I was saying, you don't have to take every information you get, and just swallow it hook, line, and sinker. Before we came on air, I saw a video by Tori Kitch, and Tori Kitch is the first lady of the Malian music record label, and she was calling out another. I think it was. I don't want to mix the names. Maybe it's Yabo Ojo or someone, one of these actors. She was calling out the person and saying, "Look, that she remains a member of Malian music, that she's never been to Italy, and that all the bad things that they said happened to her never happened to her, that they should look at her face, that she's still with the record label, and that all those things that were said about her are not true, and that the handle, there's a fake handle in her name." She was now putting out a real Twitter, a real Instagram handle, in the video, and said, "Look, this is my real video. This is my real face. Those things that they said happened to me did not happen to me." Now that's Tori Kish, and she's speaking as an insider in the Malian music place. So that's why I say it's not every. She went as far as saying that I think it's Yabo Ojo she was mentioning.
Yeah.
That you have a daughter that's probably her age or whatever, and that would you be happy if someone was saying these things about your daughter and they are not true? So again, you look at the passion with which she spoke. Some people will be quick to tell you, no, maybe they told her to go and say it. Well, eventually investigations will prove that. But this is why I say don't take everything you hear hook, line, and sinker. Probe. On the flip side, there's a DJ Splash.
Yeah. And
I've watched his video. And the first thing was we read the story that they said his mother said that I put out. Then we saw his mother's video. Then we're now seeing the guy. He needs medical attention. It needs medical attention. And in this video, DJ Splash claims that because he was with the Malian music label, and he claims that when he told them he wanted to go into music, that's when all hell broke loose, and that's From there, they wanted to kill him, but he just basically got out alive and everything. There's something going on that needs investigation, which might have been sparked up by the death of Mohbad. Might not directly be linked to his death, and it might be something that spiraled into, the situation that he found himself. And again, it is calling on parents. How are your children at such young ages so quick to leave, your houses, your homes, and to go and live
with other people
without supervision or follow-ups or whatever? Yes, everybody wants to blow. You want to help your children blow. But again, how did you just release your children to...
And the fact is that most of the
more
time,
or less strangers.
They're really, really young. Two things that I will notice with these things is that they if some of the stories are true, personally, I feel that some of them are. I feel some of them are not. I feel that some of them are exaggerated. But the bottom line still goes back to the fact that a lot of these young people at such really, really young ages are left to... Take, for example, this former YBNL signee that has been going on, she's been going on for days.
Temi
Ovasa. And one thing that jumped out to me, what she said, was how she left Ilorin and left her family and came to Lagos because she wanted
to sing.
I don't know how people are brought up here, and I'm not trying to... but I just looked at myself and like, at what point would I have told my parents that, see, I want to go and sing. I'm going to another state. To do what? Where? How? Who is the person? Do you understand? And I feel that a lot of times, these children are just thrown into the wild without any form of supervision. And the people on the other end, a lot of times, see them as very vulnerable. They're very easy prey.
I think one recurring decimal in all the stories of young artists trying to make it early in the music industry is poverty.
Yeah.
I am not poverty shaming. I'm just saying it as it is.
Yes.
I think one recurring decimal.
Illiteracy, poverty, illiteracy, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you find that there are people who, are from very poor backgrounds, and when they start to strive and get the confidence of their parents, at times some parents are even glad to see you go away because it's one mouth less to feed. And which I think these are the things that we're seeing
on these children.
So going forward, these are issues that hopefully the Ministry of Youth will look at. If they have an existing department, or they're going to get
we need to look so-called record labels. What exactly is going on?
There's something that you need to do. And it's not only in it's in sports too.
Yeah.
It's in sports too. There are some so-called academies, in quote, that get, young Nigerians who are just looking to use their talent to make ends meet. And before you know it, they meet their ends.
Exactly.
So there's a lot of work to be done.
I think a lot of work
in
needs
this
to be
angle.
done.
But one of the things I just want to plead: if you want to protest, don't let them use you to cause violence. Nigeria and the Nigerian government would not wait like they did the last time. They would
especially
not. So
now that
careful.
these protests seem to be spreading. Now, sadly, as sad as the fact that somebody died and people are protesting, people are feeling bad, there is another story that I don't know why nobody's talking about it. Because to me, that seems like a more serious thing to talk about, a more serious thing to protest about. I'm sorry, yes, Mohbad is late. But there is a story, or there is an issue going on in Ogun State, where in about 24 to 48 hours, a cult war literally broke that led to the death of 25 young people.
Yeah.
25. And I'm wondering, like, okay, when are we protesting about this? Do you understand? I'm like, okay, so, and this was a question I came up with yesterday when there was going to be, the police had said there was going to be a full-blown investigation and all that. And I'm like, how many young people die every day? How many investigations go on? Are we saying because one person is popular, which I still feel a lot of people, a lot of bloggers these days, even up till now, a lot of actors, actresses, entertainment people are jumping on this Mohbad thing like as if they know him. Three-quarter of them don't. Three-quarter of them heard about the story before. Three-quarter of them are using it as clout. I feel that most not three-quarter, most of them are clout chasers. Sue me. I'm just saying what I'm saying. But these are nameless 25 people. We don't know their names. We don't know where they're from. But the sad part, they're dead.
Yeah.
Everybody's going on about, what's it called? Record labels. If a lot of things that they allege about these record labels are true, then we will say it's a form of a cult. What's the difference?
The thing again is that the investigators have their work cut out for them. They might not be related, but the issues that we're discussing might actually be intertwined.
Yeah.
The Shagamu cult wars have been going on for years. It's strange how government after government in Ogun State
have not found a solution to it.
I've never really looked into it.
I saw a statement from the first PRO yesterday talking about how they did an investigation and realized that almost every young man in Shagam belongs to a cult.
Yeah. And that means they're gangsters.
That is an epidemic.
Yeah. And that's dangerous.
That is dangerous.
And it's not just dangerous for Shagamu itself, even for
the whole country.
For the entire country, neighboring cities and states. Because this is gangsterism. You can call it any name you want to call it.
Oh, it is. It is.
It's gangsterism. You know, people are, taking hard drugs. They're ingesting all sorts of
because those things come with a lot of these ills.
And they carry weapons. And of course, when they do all of that, what do you expect? One of the videos of that Shagamu clash of cultists, I saw them actually, running and carrying weapons in front of a bank. So I think one of the security men in charge of one of the banks just stood there. He had a gun, but he stood there, and I'm like, okay, he's probably used to this scene.
Yeah.
And he's not going to get involved. Or he's thinking, I'm the only one.
So anybody that is coming,
as long as they're not coming to the bank, okay, no problem.
Just be going.
And you understand? And they were going up and down like that.
But it's such a sad scene. It's such a very sad thing. And like I said, I'm sorry, but isn't this enough, or isn't this something that blogs and entertainers need to jump on? These are the kind of things you need. These are the kind of things we need a lot of voices on, but nobody's talking about it.
Yeah. And these are the issues.
It's such a sad... That's why I feel that a lot of these people are just chasing clout.
Yeah. A lot of people are latching onto, Mohbad's passing, and people who were not heard are now being heard again. Some people have
people that everybody has forgotten about.
They have something to say, I know. But please, this is not to say that anybody is free of, the focus that is now being, shown on the industry. I particularly laugh at a lot of people who just zero in an investigation. You're supposed to spread your drag net.
Exactly. And I even think that, like I had seen the police had talked about, and if you are a little bit educated and know how some of these things work, you know that all these allegations mean nothing. Investigation will start from the cause of death.
Yeah.
And then they work their way back. So if all these allegations that the people are throwing around, if they have nothing to do with the cause of death, sadly, it might shed light.
Nothing might happen in the line that you want.
Exactly. Nothing might happen in the line that you want. It might shed light to maybe some ills that happen, maybe in record labels, and maybe help somebody there. But it's not probably gonna help the investigation on ground. So at times we also need to be we need to open our minds and not just focus on, because now the sad part is, okay, take for example all these people that are protesting. I don't know, take for example people in Delta, and how many people can we say, okay, they really know who Mohbad is? Let's even take that from, if you now tell all these people protesting that all the stories that have been going on, it's just an assumption that is not like that, and it's something else that's causing it.
They're not going to believe you now.
Exactly.
Because they're already wired a certain way.
They're already wired a certain way. So I'm like that. This is something people need to be careful about. People need to, because if you are not careful, that is how they start, and then you hear first day protest, second day, and before you know they've turned it to something else, and they literally lose sight of the original thing that they're protesting about, and somebody somewhere. Or take for example this same Shagam that there is a lot of violence, and they say they're protesting in Ogun State or in the Shagam. Are you saying that if care is not taken, this kind of thing cannot cause another?
It happens all the time. All the time. Rodney King was brutalized by the police. I think it was in California or God knows where. And before you know it, riots, looting. It happens all the time.
Remember the
funny thing,
very recent one?
Nobody was talking about Rodney King anymore. It was about who was, killed in the process of looting or rioting, the number of shops that were destroyed, the number of livelihoods that were taken away.
It happened in Nigeria as well.
So
and then you wonder, we're talking about one thing, and then
there are people who live off chaos. There are people who thrive. From the high end to the low end. From politicians who would find the embers so that they can gain from the backlash that might go on the government of the day, to the regular small gangsters who are just always looking for trouble because they have nothing else to do.
Exactly.
And again, there are a lot of young people who have time on their hands and who would want They would want to be gainfully employed, and government has not stepped up. So, we get how these things work.
There's
what we're saying still is that we have a big problem if they're saying that X number of people in Shagamu are cultists. That means they are gangsters. So it's just beyond the talk about, the governor of Ogun State is talking tough and reading the Riot Act. It's beyond that now. It's like making sure that it doesn't happen
again. It doesn't happen again. I totally agree. It doesn't happen again. Now let's move on quickly. And news that is just dropping right now is that the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Abubakar Atiku, has now officially filed an appeal at the Supreme Court, seeking the nullification of the judgment of the Presidential Election Petitions Court, which held that President Tinubu was the winner of the 2023 elections.
Fantastic. It's done. He has
literally been waiting for it.
He has done it within, the stipulated time. We'll be expecting that Peter Obi will do the same thing, Labour Party, because they both said that they do not agree.
Yeah, we're waiting for them, but
judgment.
Except we see you officially do it.
This is the beauty of democracy, that people can, follow through with the laws of the land, like go to court. Even if you disagree with a judgment, you can go to a higher court to get the judgment that you seek. My own thing is that regardless of the way it turns out, let all involved agree that this is the last stop, because it's the Supreme Court.
I don't think that there needs to be an agreement.
No, you see,
I'm going to be, except the only way it can happen is if the Supreme Court sends it back to the tribunal.
So, I'm not even talking about that. When people lose, even at this level, the sentiments and the side talks never go away.
It didn't with President Buhari. It didn't stop him
That's
from
what
being
I'm
the president.
saying, and that's what I am asking for. That you're matured enough to say you have gone to court.
Sadly, I'm not sure it's ever
And
going to happen.
you really think that you have prepared a good case, right? Then you win. You would expect that the other people should accept the judgment.
When
They
it comes to
should.
Nigerian politicians,
If Atiku wins,
I'm not
if
sure it
Atiku
ever
wins
happens.
at the court, like if he gets to overturn the judgment of the lower court
Mm-hmm.
at the apex court, would he say that the judgment is bad?
Of course, now everybody
If
wants.
Peter Obi-
They wants to.
if
Everybody
it's-
wants to win.
If it's Peter Obi that gets that judgment, like he did twice as a governor of Anambra,
And that's what I'm saying. Everybody wants to win.
would he say it's bad?
But
when it doesn't go your, that's what I'm saying.
so okay. So when it doesn't go your way, suck it up.
That's what I'm saying. That's my point.
Sadly, I'm
That's my
not sure
point.
it would ever happen. But whether anybody likes it or not, whatever the Supreme Court says will be final. So I think that this is the last chance. I really hope that they bring up their case more. Now they're talking, according to him, the notice of an appeal, predicated on 35 grounds, insisted that the tribunal committed a grave error and miscarriage of justice in its findings. It's fine, no problem. It's good, especially with the Supreme Court. It's a fresh set of eyes, yeah? So let's see what's going to happen to it. I think judgment for Supreme Court is it has to be 60 days from the judgment of the appeal court. So I'm guessing by maybe October, November, we're done with all this, probably done with it all this year, and then we move on. But from then, we'll see how to. We're still waiting to see if Labour Party, because it's one thing for you to say you're going to go. If you do not go, it is what is in the court that the court is going to sit on. So Labour Party should also realize that time is not on their side.
Yeah, I believe that they're probably preparing their case.
They need to move quickly because all these things are time bound at the end of the day. Also, moving on from that, still talking a little bit about tribunals. Tribunal has now tagged a Taraba PDP lawmaker. The Taraba, the only PDP, one PDP lawmaker in Taraba has now been sacked as they've obtained the victory of Nuhu Akila of the tribunal.
Okay, this is something that crossed my mind when I first heard this a couple of hours ago. I'm like, this life can be funny though. You know, one moment you are representing the good people of your constituency.
Next minute,
And the next
you
minute,
are chucked out.
you're not
See,
anymore.
shout out to the judges. I know everybody is always saying that be scared of the police, maybe people should be scared of the army, or or the presidency, or anybody. Do you understand? The legislative, the this and that. But nobody does it like the judiciary.
Mm-hmm.
If you've seen governors, they've been there for 3 good years, and in one night they're chucked away. In fact, their record of being governors expunged
Completely.
from the what's it called. I think that at this point, one thing that I think that people need to do is that whatever it is that we do, it's really going into elections. People need to do things by the book, so that even if you're taken to court, a lot of these things are they will be easily thrown out, so that you're not at the mercy of technicalities, or if the court, whatever the feelings of the court or anything. People really just need to be careful. Also, 2 candidates of the APC, Mutulu Mohammed and Abel Peter, their cases, they have retained their seats as their cases have been thrown out.
The cases against them
have been thrown out by the tribunal. Apparently, the person that lost his seat in PDP, the seat has now been given to an APC person of Emmanuel George.
APC, PDP, Labour seem to be losing and winning seats here and there.
Yeah.
And with the composition of the House as we knew it,
But with the way it's looking,
in June,
it might not favor some people. It might change, I agree, but it might not change so much. Right?
yeah, it might not change so much. I don't think it will, but still, down to brass tacks. For instance, if Labour Party had X number, I think they've lost.
I think they. I think that they're probably the most. They're more at the losing end of these cases now than anybody else. Why I said that for the APC and the PDP, they've lost some, they've won some. I don't think with the cases that we're seeing, I do not think that the APC is going to be. They're not going to be the majority anymore. And I also do not think that the PDP will not be the highest number of minority in the House as well.
Yeah, it might not affect the first two parties.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It really might not.
Yeah, that's what I meant too.
Everybody else, not. Sadly, I think that Labour Party is much more at the receiving end of this unfortunate, judgments more than anybody else. But I personally also feel that as much as Labour Party has been a party for so long, they literally just gained ground a few months ago, barely a year ago. So I think some of these things are teething problems. As the years go on and elections go on, I think they would get better at it. The likes of the APC, we're seeing even the APC in itself evolve over the years before they became what they are today. The PDP, as much as is the longest serving, the longest party that we have in Nigeria, longest surviving party, it still has its teething problems even up until now.
Titino.
So
at 20 something.
We all have teeth issues.
Teething.
You take teeth out once in a while.
Teeth issues are different from teething problems. Teething problems are meant for babies.
They shall,
So,
or they still have
I don't know
issues.
what you're inferring.
I think they do have actually.
I'm not saying they don't. I'm just saying that when you say teething problems for a party as old as the PDP,
They have a war. Anyway, moving on from that. Very interesting news coming from the NNPC this morning, as the NNPCL, the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, has announced the compulsory exit of its top management staff. Now, what did they do? According to the report, they said that every single person that has 15 months, every top management staff that has 15 months or less to their retirement should go now.
yeah,
Come and be going.
the NNPCL is Nigeria's cash cow, supposed to be, because that's a company that is supposed to be in charge of Nigeria's commonwealth, the crude oil and its byproducts. It's been restructured, but not necessarily reorganized, So at times, you just wonder, like, some of these things are cosmetic. Like, oh, we need to change this and change that. When you change the name, but you do not change the personnel,
You probably might still be having the same issues. Yeah,
you
I
get.
agree.
So what they've done is to do a proper restructuring of the NNPCL and also create